Yo guys, and welcome to the final part in the Spectacular Spider-Man series. If you have not checked out the previous parts from the Spectacular Spider-Man 3 to the Ultimate Spider-Man, this video may not make a lot of sense, but it also can be understood as a standalone as well. But with that being said, this is the only movie in the series, and without further ado, I present to you the Spectacular Spider-Girl. The year is 2032, and it is many years after the events of The Ultimate Spider-Man, and Mary Jane Watson has given birth and raised a baby girl known as Mayday Parker. She is named after Peter's Aunt May, however, she goes by the nickname Mayday. In a flashback to Prologue the movie, there is an explanation to Mayday not being able to use her powers. It is implied that MJ didn't want her to become a superhero like her father Peter, so used future tech designed by S.H.I.E.L.D. to dampen her powers. It's a chip inside of her arm. She had it planted there when she was a child and doesn't know about it. S.H.I.E.L.D. and MJ come to an agreement to shut down most videos, media reports, and anything to do with Spider-Man, completely whitewashing the world of his presence. The presumed reason was because S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't want anyone to take up the mantle of the Wallcrawler and being dead like Peter Parker was. But what about Miles? Where is he? Miles went missing a long time ago for an unknown reason. This world is very unfamiliar and secretive to before. However, Mayday is still a normal college student with work to do. In these scenes, it's revealed that Mayday's arc will generally be about self-discovery as a person. We cut to Mayday enjoying her normal life. We see her with MJ in the morning and their dynamic as a mother-daughter relationship. We then are took to Maydays College, which is the Alchemax College of Science and Psychology. Mayday is studying to become a psychology major. Alchemax, as you've probably heard the name before in the comics, is a company that completely takes over in the Spider-Man universe in the future, especially in 2099. And the beginning of this is sprinkled in here. Alchemax is a massive corporation in the US and is looking to spread worldwide. They have specialties in undiscovered nanotech equipment and robotic technology that is years ahead of everyone else. They are like the Oscorp of this time, but 100% better and bigger. Alchemax is run by Tyler Stone, a successful scientist and former employee of S.H.I.E.L.D. One of Mayday's mentors is Carolyns Trainer, and she teaches psychology. But they are really close with each other. She carries an auntie type of mentor relationship with Mayday. They have bonded over their fascination for Spider-Man, both being a big fan and a big believer, even though his presence has been whitewashed. It is revealed that Carolyn is in collaboration with Alchemax as a whole, as she has a project of her own. She's working on some Doc Ock arms, and she's working on the psychology side of them and how they affect the human brain, as Dr. Octavius in the past could not conquer this. Mayday goes home to MJ after her general life is established. They both get into a conversation about Peter, and this is where the real story starts to pick up. Mayday questions why she was never allowed to know much about her father, and her and MJ end up getting into a big fight about it. The next day, she goes on a discovery through her mother's files and secrets to try and find out stuff about her father that S.H.I.E.L.D. had hidden away. S.H.I.E.L.D. had hidden everything that Peter had done, from him being Spider-Man to the things he had done for the city, and had tried to destroy his legacy after Miles left, which was only when Mayday was young, so she wouldn't know much about it anyway. She doesn't agree with this. She says that her father's legacy should be given more recognition, as he was the greatest American hero to ever live, protecting the city and the entire country from world-ending threats. She also finds out that she had a chip planted in her arm that dampens her powers through some of these files and secrets. She just leaves. She leaves without telling MJ where she is going. She goes away from home and tries to find the only person she can talk to about this, who isn't in S.H.I.E.L.D. or isn't her mother MJ, and that is Miles. She picks out clues and hints to where Miles had gone to and eventually finds him on an isolated away island on Indonesia. In her travels, MJ is constantly calling her, asking her where she is and if she's okay. Mayday completely ignores her as she is furious with her mother. Mayday is 20-odd, so she's an adult, so she would be allowed to go off on these little adventures and trips. But MJ can't lose another family member though, after Peter and then Miles. She locates him and there he is, Miles Morales. Old. Mayday asks why Miles went away, but he wouldn't say apart from that something very bad had happened a lot of years back that made him realize something about the world. He had to go away to recollect his thoughts, but ended up crumbling in his own self-doubt and worry. He suffers extremely mentally. Miles isn't who he used to be. Mayday asks Miles to take the chip out of her so she can finally be free and explore who she really is. Miles tells her the whole responsibility trope that Peter taught him, that you can't just be Spider-Man, you have to learn to be a hero. You aren't born one, you earn that title. Just like he did way back when in the Spectacular Spider-Man Season 6. Miles refuses to take the chip out of her arm. He doesn't agree with S.H.I.E.L.D., but believes she should learn first. He believes that she should learn responsibility before anything else. Mayday returns to New York and tells Carolyn all about her discovery, that she found out about her father and his involvement as Spider-Man, and the fact that she has spider powers too, and that she had a chip inside of her. Carolyn tells her that she needs to remove it so that they can carry out research and play around with the powers. Because of her arrogance, Mayday doesn't listen to Miles' advice at all and takes the chip out with the help of Alchemax tech. They remove the chip and Carolyn and Mayday play around with it for a bit, although Carolyn is acting suspicious. It is revealed then that Tyler Stone, the head of Alchemax, is Carolyn's uncle, and them two are working together to build an empire, and to make Alchemax a worldwide phenomenon. And what better way to do that than have the daughter of Peter Parker and her spider powers at their disposal. However, in a scene with Stone and Carolyn, Carolyn is very uneasy about this idea to use her friend for their advantage in their empire, as she has grew a connection with Mayday. Carolyn doesn't want Mayday to be a part of this thing that she has going with Tyler. She doesn't want to betray her, but also can't deny her uncle and his ideals and his ideas. As the scene goes forward, Tyler Stone is revealed to be more of a psycho than first thought. He gives off Norman Osborn kind of vibes, but is a little bit more insane than that. He is getting obsessed with using Mayday, almost like he's dealt with this obsession beforehand, where he's wanted to use spider powers for something big. Mayday goes home to MJ, and MJ is so glad to see her and know that she's safe. Mayday explodes, telling her that she lied to her still. She's still mad that she missed this part of her life. She missed her father. She goes to the only person that has been good to her, which is Carolyn, or at least that's what she thought. But when she saw Carolyn, she tried to get her to join Alchemax to use her powers. Mayday just wanted to be herself though, she didn't want to be anyone else's pawn. Her mother kept a part of her from herself, and now her friend Carolyn wants to use her powers for her advantage. She reveals that her uncle is Tyler Stone. Mayday disagrees politely, and she doesn't want to be a test subject of Alchemax. Yes, she'll play around with the powers as they're both big Spider-Man enthusiasts, but she doesn't want to be a test subject of Alchemax. Carolyn tries to take her in by force, and Mayday uses her powers to overpower Carolyn and escapes. She can't believe that her friend would do this, that her friend would turn on her like this, even though Carolyn didn't really want to, and this is explored through her facial expressions and just the overall body language of Carolyn towards both the characters of Mayday and Tyler. Tyler is absolutely furious with Carolyn for letting her get away, so forces her to use her octopus arms that Alchemax had been working on to go and stop her. Carolyn didn't really want to, but had to comply with her uncle. Thus, Lady Octopus is born. She goes after Mayday, and in the middle of New York, Mayday fights Lady Octopus. The destruction causes a casualty, and Mayday sees it happen, but couldn't do anything about it, and the person ultimately dies. Mayday escapes Carolyn and Lady Octopus and goes home to find MJ and hugs her and says she's so sorry. Putting the chip in her that dimmed her powers was the best thing that could have ever happened to her, because ever since that she's messed with it, everything has gone wrong, and now that she's pushed the boundaries, she is really in big trouble, because someone is dead. A person died because of her recklessness. This is the beginning of the learning curve for Mayday's character. She is starting to learn and notice the responsibility that Miles Morales was talking about. Tyler Stone won't let this go though. He launches a full-fledged assault to find Mayday Parker. He sends all of Alchemax's resources after Mayday, as he's obsessed with wanting her power that she possesses. Before Tyler can find Mayday, S.H.I.E.L.D. finds Mayday, and Sable takes her and MJ to S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. She reveals the real reason why they covered up all the Spider-Man stuff and research and placed a chip in her arm was to keep her safe, because Tyler Stone used to be an employee at S.H.I.E.L.D. and he was obsessed with Spider-Man and went behind S.H.I.E.L.D's back to try and clone Spider-Man to make a spider army to use as a military weapon. S.H.I.E.L.D. saw the dangers in this, so removed him from S.H.I.E.L.D. altogether, and that's why he was a former employee there, and he went on to create Alchemax to rival S.H.I.E.L.D., and if Mayday were to ever be revealed and her powers got out, S.H.I.E.L.D. knew that Tyler would go straight for her, and that is exactly what happened. As soon as it was revealed that Mayday had powers, Tyler went straight for her through Carolyn. Sable and MJ take Mayday and lock her up in a shield cell to keep her safe and away, and secure from Stone. Mayday says that this is a bad idea and begs them to let her help, because she was the one who caused this problem. She was the one who messed up and she wants to fix it, but S.H.I.E.L.D. won't let her. Tyler Stone releases his nanotech robots and army upon the city looking for her, and S.H.I.E.L.D. fights back with their soldiers. However, Alchemax is way too powerful and S.H.I.E.L.D. really underestimated them. S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting knocked down. Sable is on the ground and it's Sable versus Tyler. Tyler uses his exosuit to fight Sable. Sable puts up a good fight, but Tyler is way too powerful. Tyler arrests Sable and S.H.I.E.L.D. are going down, and Alchemax looks like a big force to be reckoned with, one that they didn't think could be this powerful. Some of the robots locate Mayday and contact Tyler to let him know that they have found her. But before he could get there, Miles Morales comes out of nowhere as Spider-Man and saves Mayday. Miles lets Mayday out of the cell that she was in. Mayday says to Miles that Sable and MJ will be disappointed in her if she goes and helps. And whenever she disobeyed them before, bad things have happened. Miles tells her that there is no other choice anymore and that they have to help them. And Miles can't do it on his own, he needs help. Mayday asks him why he came back. Miles said that he realized that running away from his problems and leaving the city hanging like that wasn't good. He went away when the city needed him the most, and now he's back to help, because if he isn't around to help out, stuff like this can happen. There is a special moment when Miles hands Mayday a costume in a case that was specially made for her for when she was older. Mayday claims that she's never done this before and she surely can't fight them. Miles tells her the story of how he was thrown into the deep end when he was younger, when he had to save Peter from the clutches of Doc Ock, and still, he lost. If you remember back to season 6, he felt so lost without the guidance of Peter, but she has him. Thus, Mayday's arc is complete. She has learnt responsibility, like all the other Spider-Men, and granted over a longer period of time than Peter did, but she still learnt it. Spider-Man and Spider-Girl, Miles Morales and Mayday Parker swing into battle, saving Silver Sable from the clutches of Tyler Stone. Tyler Stone fights Spider-Man as he calls on Carolyn to stop Spider-Girl as she was disarming some of the robots. Lady Octopus enters the battle and hits Spider-Girl into a wall. Carolyn and Mayday have an emotional moment between each other where Mayday questions Carolyn and how she could follow ideals such as Tyler's. Carolyn says that she has to obey her uncle and always will. Family must stick together. Now this right here, this scene will be so powerful. We know that Carolyn and Tyler are family, and we know that they are related as uncle and niece. Previously in the other Spectacular Spider-Man episodes and series, the ideal of family and the idea that family must always stick together has always been a theme related to the good guys, aka Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. And that has always been a theme that has stuck the characters on the good side together, like Peter, Gwen, MJ. But what makes this so juxtaposed is the fact that this theme is now on the bad side. But as an audience watching the series, we would understand that coming from the good guys. So for a villain to say that about family really hits hard, and now we really do understand the villain's perspective, even though we know Mayday is the central and main protagonist. This makes Mayday's and Carolyn's fight all the more emotional. Carolyn hits Mayday into a wall and knocks her down, but you can tell that she feels regret about it. So that she doesn't come back and so that she doesn't get involved again, Lady Octopus drops a building on her, but one that's not enough to kill her. Lady Octopus goes back off into battle. Miles is fighting Tyler Stone and his army with Sable. Even with Miles, they are still too much for them. They're losing the battle. Tyler has Miles down on his knees and hits him across the face. Due to not fighting recently, Miles is a bit rusty with all this Spider-Man stuff. However, Mayday has a moment under the building, kinda similar to the one in Homecoming with Peter. She doesn't think she is good enough, but thinks about what Miles told her. With great power comes great responsibility, an ideal that her father ran with as well. Mayday says that she is Spider-Girl. She is the spectacular Spider-Girl, and lifts up the building with all of her strength. Just before Tyler was about to land the finishing blow on Miles, Spider-Girl swings in and hits Tyler across the face. She stands in front of Miles, someone that she'd considered an uncle figure herself, almost paralleling Carolyn. Tyler and Lady Octopus get ready to fight. Mayday has a final showdown with Tyler and Carolyn. Tyler gets Mayday down for a second, and Carolyn takes a step back as she doesn't really want to get involved anymore. Tyler says that if he can't get her to comply alive, he will take her dead. Tyler was about to stab Mayday until Carolyn shouts no and jumps in the way of the blade and kills herself for her best friend. Tyler breaks down crying as the SHIELD soldiers and Sable take him away and arrest him. And thus a tragic storyline ends for Tyler Stone, so overwhelmed with power that he ended up pushing away the people he loved the most, which was his family. So the theme of family comes full circle, and the character arc of Mayday Parker comes full circle as well. But because of this, Mayday has also now lost her best friend too. The theme of responsibility sticks with Mayday here, and it is now cemented into her character. MJ and SHIELD have learnt their lesson. This world is better off with a Spider-Man, as the only person who could save them was, ironically, a Spider-Person. But Mayday has learnt her lesson too. She has to become a hero. She has never born one. Miles becomes a figure in Mayday's life again. There is a scene at the end of the film where Mayday moves out from MJ, and they have a little emotional scene where they reconnect with one another, and they finally accept Peter was a part of their lives, and the legacy of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, the spectacular Spider-Man ever since Season 1, will live forever. A couple of months pass, and Mayday becomes the new Spider-Girl of the city. New York has a Spider-Person back finally. And then a portal opens, and Madam Web and a younger Miles Morales from the time of the Ultimate Spider-Man appear in front of them, and tell her that a threat is coming, and that they're gonna need her help.